Good morning. Welcome to Wisdom of Wealth with Whitney and Theresa. Good morning, Theresa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Whitney?
I'm doing great. Theresa Pellizzari is a financial security advisor with Sovereign Wealth Management. She works in the Brantford area, the Burlington, Halton area, and the GTA. And I'm really happy to have you here today because I think that what we need to do is we need to start talking to people about managing their financial stress. So I'm just going to talk about a few things and then I'll turn it over to you. I have a few questions to ask. One of the things about this pandemic, there's two issues. One is there's the worry about everybody's health, and then of course there's the worry about our wealth and our finances. So some people are struggling with income, and then there's others that have wealth and savings, and they're not really too concerned about income, but they're more worried about when is this all going to recover. But regardless of that, all of us would like to know, how long is this going to go on for? So we don't really know. But what I've done is I've drawn a little picture here. And what this picture looks like is, this is the virus here. So this is Canada, okay? This is my take on Canada. So here we are with the virus, and this is the recovery of the economy, the market, the stock market. So as deep as this line goes, so the more of us that are getting sick, the deeper this, I don't want to use depression, but the deeper we are going to fall into this, and the larger the slope on the other side. So if we can flatten out the top line, we will shorten our recovery by quite a bit. Now, I believe that in Canada, I believe we're going to do that because we're taking the right measures. We've seen what's happened in other countries. We've seen what's happened in Italy. They threw all the sick people in the hospital, and then that wiped out hospitals. But what we're doing here is we're making makeshift hospitals so that the sick people aren't actually going into the hospital. They're going into these buildings that are built outside of the hospital. So we have had, we're learning, and the social distancing is proving to be working. So one of the questions that people are asking, we're seeing big swings in the stock market. So this is really different than what we had in 2008, 2001, when the stock markets, generally what happens when we have a correction, and there always will be a stock market correction, because how economics work is we build and build and build into expansion, and then what happens is we come back into contraction. And generally when contraction occurs, it occurs after people are saying, oh, nothing, like it's not gonna break, everything's fine, what could go wrong? And this is exactly what happened again in 2020. When you look at December, in the end of 2019, January and February 2020, we're all saying, like, what could snap? Like, real estate's great, everybody's working. The US has more people working than they've had since World War II. What could possibly go wrong? And I've been telling clients for the last 2.5 years, because I've been, balancing them, taking profits, moving them into instruments of fixed income that have that don't have that big risk. Just saying that when something goes wrong, it's always a 2020 event, because we don't know that something's going to happen, and then after it happens, we realize, oh my gosh, okay, so this is what's happening. This is a little bit different than 2008. In 2008 was a pretty scary market correction, because we had a lot of things going on. It's particularly in the US, we had a lot of things going on, events going on that we were not understanding, meaning traders, people in the business, in the financial business, did not understand what was wrapped in the financial instruments. And even the companies selling the instruments did not know what was wrapped into them. So it was a big mess. And we really thought that we would never get out of all of that financial debt. And as time goes by, it just gets all forgotten. What we have different today is there's a lot of algorithm trading going on in the market that we didn't have in 2008. We have new instruments. We have ETFs. We have a lot of products now. We have a lot of cheap products that were formulated because we've never really recovered from 2008 in the financial market. The CFA designation, which was this fabulous designation that had a starting salary of I won't mention the numbers, but very high, now has been replaced by computers because there's been so much pressure on reducing price of investments that there had to be a cheaper way of doing it. And of course, algorithms is the way to go today. So this is what's different in our stock market today. So this is why you can see the market will climb up 10% in one day. It'll drop 10%. Yesterday, the American market was up almost 8%. So how does that happen? How it happens is the algorithms have buy and sell prices. So for example, if something drops to $21, sell it off. If something is at this price point, buy it. And then the other part is if there's a lot of buying going on, the algorithms will buy. If there's a lot of selling going on, then they'll sell. So this is why we're seeing numbers. I mean, we've never seen numbers like this before. We don't see stock markets drop 10% in a day and climb back in 10% in a day. So these are some of the things that are happening, and it's really important for clients to be able to, number one, talk to their financial advisor. We're not recommending people to sell. What we are recommending is if people are on RIF income or any type of SWIP income coming in, if you don't necessarily need all that income, you can lower the amount. And the other thing that we've been doing is we have a lot of buying going on. The reason being is that this quarter may be the best quarter to purchase in the next 5 to 10 years because we are actually in a stock market correction. Our last correction was 2008, and now we're in a 2020 stock market correction. So Theresa, in your business, you work with a lot of individuals and you work with a lot of business owners, and you're fabulous with your group clients, and you're there for your customers all the time. I've watched you, you're just always there to answer a call, always there to drive over and help. What is your solution to financial stress?
Well, thanks, Whitney. First of all, I really appreciate you sharing the basics of what's going on in the market right now to give everybody a peace of mind and some comfort with knowing that this too will pass and we will recover. So listening to your basic conversation, I believe the general public can certainly understand and follow your lead. So thank you for that. As far as when it comes to money and finance, surveys tell us for years the number one stress in the world is finance and money. So what do we do to manage that? How do we reduce our stress? And really, there's one solution that encompasses all of it, which is planning. So if you take a step back and you think about planning, it really doesn't take long, but it helps you to get clear and get focused on what matters, what action can you take, what's important for you to take, and break it down into bite-sized pieces that are tangible to put you on a path to get to what's important. And the reason why planning is so important is because it does help you reduce the stress that we cannot control at this point. But if you have a decent plan in place, you know that you have some money for an emergency fund. You have money that put away for vacations that, if need be, you can use for an emergency. And at the end of the day, all those bite-sized pieces protect you. They protect your health and your wealth, because we know stress isn't good for us. So at the end of the day, I have one solution. Take the time, put some thoughts into planning, give Whitney or I a call. We're always around. Ask us questions, text us, whatever fits your schedule. But now is the time, because we have never gone through a period of time where the whole world is shut down.
Yeah.
And yes,
Except for war.
yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But that's usually isolated too. It's not necessarily worldwide.
Right.
So I just think right now you have extra time. Use it wisely. Transform the way you want to live your life so that you can be happy, you can be healthy, and in doing those things, you will become wealthy.
So I think for people that are watching, I invite anybody to reach out to Theresa to be able to have her set up, get you organized into how a plan works. So again, speaking to a mass of people, there's so many different variables, but if we use somebody that, let's say, is under the age of 40, who hasn't been through any type of real economic crises before, or high interest rates. I mean, Theresa and I come from the baby boomers, where we already know about the bombshell and saving money and conserving. We already know that stuff, but there's a generation that's younger than us that doesn't know about that. And it's really important to be able to have somebody, set a budget with you and teach you some of the basics, to be able to nest egg and move forward, to prevent yourself from being, highly affected again in the future, because this is not the last tsunami that we'll have in the world. One of the things that we talk about in Wallet to Wealth, such a simple little thing, is that every day when you're out and about buying things and going through drive-throughs and picking up things and fast food and stuff, if you spend $27 a day, that's $10,000. And $10,000 may not be a lot of money, but I'll tell you right now, if you had $10,000 just sitting in your bank account, you wouldn't be lining up for an EI check, because you'd have some cash. And that's the thing, is that people don't realize that these little tiny bits. Working with business owners, because Theresa and I work with a lot of business owners, we have two structures to deal with. We have to deal with how their corporation works, or if there is a small sole proprietor, how we work that financial bucket, and then how we work the personal bucket, and how we build wealth on both sides, because we need to build wealth and retained earnings inside the corporation, and we also need to build wealth and savings on the personal side, and all the tax planning and the savings. And usually what we find with business owners is that they don't put their business dollars at risk. So the retained earnings that they have from their company, they'll use that to reinvest in their business, but then they like to have cash sitting in their corporation, and they might stockpile a significant amount of cash over the decades. And we do have ways to invest that money, to keep it sheltered, to keep it safe, and to keep it compounding. And what I mean by compounding is that it's not in the stock market, it's actually compounding interest. So there are tools that we can work with to really help people. So I think this is enough for today. What we'd like to do is we are bringing a series of tips, and we will post these on a regular basis, and we'll be accepting emails, messages, any questions that you have. We'll be able to address them. And we do understand that people are at different levels, and we are able to work at all levels. I tend to work at the higher level, but I'm okay to help people today in the beginning levels, and Theresa too. So reach out to us. And if my calendar's full, Theresa will be able to fill you into her calendar. So thank you for joining us. And we really look forward to hearing your questions. And thank you, Theresa.
Thank you, Whitney. And if I could just wrap up by saying, while we have this extra time on our hands, framework for planning can be done over the phone. If you have 15, 20 minutes and you want to get started, reach out to us.
Yeah, or a Zoom call. Booking a Zoom call is fabulous. So take care.
Wear my pajamas?
And tune in to see our hair over the next couple of weeks. Bye.